SJD, Smee Joseph. How's it going, mate?
What's up, man? How's it going?
Bruh, I'm quarantined as fuck. It's been a while, man. It's been a while since you've been on the show.
Yeah, it has. You hit the big time, man. You got like all these guests coming on.
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously that grinded to an absolute halt.
Yeah.
So has the UFC and every other sporting organization for that matter. We got lots to talk about.
We got a lot to talk about, don't we?
Episode 7. Oh, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good, mate. How you been?
Yeah, man, been good. Just in lockdown like everyone else, and
Locked up. You got some Akon shit happening or what?
we got some Akon. Yeah, got some Akon. Playing some Akon, but no, it's been interesting. Just got my home office set up here, so it's giving me time.
Yeah, everyone's got home office. Yeah,
like, yeah, everyone. I'm pretty sure office works in IKEA must be like killing it right now.
Rebel Sports. It's all about the working from home flex. You heard about that one?
That's right. Yeah, man,
it's just about that flex. It's interesting. Yeah, look. Obviously, everything's in quarantine. I got my quarantine haircut. You like it? I got my little Toosie slide going on.
Toosie slide.
Hey, seriously, what you do? I not look like Drizzy or what, man?
Oh, mate, you got.
Come on, man. Like you copied it. Okay, it is what it is. Look, you can't hate on a brother. Okay, what did you think about Toosie slide? It's a shit song, eh?
I actually haven't fully heard it yet.
Oh, come on. I need to go home. I mean, you are home.
Maybe we should do a reaction. We need to hear it and do a reaction to it, yeah.
I think one of my mates said it was very Nickelodeon-esque.
Oh, Nickelodeon, okay.
Like too PG. You know PG Drake? What's PG Drake? Like, what's a PG Drake song?
Hotline
Houston, Land of Vegas? I don't know.
Houston, Land of Vegas.
Best I ever had? Like, I don't know.
No, that's definitely not PG.
Well, the video clip's not PG.
Probably something from his Degrassi years.
Fuck Degrassi, bro. I mean, okay, cool. I digress. Let's chat about the UFC and MMA. Look, mate, it's been flipping crazy. There's been a lot that's been happening.
Well, it's been a crazy. Was it 24 to 48 hours recently? It's
been a crazy 2 weeks. Okay, let's run through the whole life cycle, right? Okay, so firstly, I think UFC Brasilia. Yeah, that's literally the last card, right? So they had the card before the apex of all this stuff started like hitting, the shit hit the fan. So they did it successfully. The first ever UFC without an audience. Bingo, done. No bueno. Great card, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Good fun. Yeah. Coincidentally, that's when I decided to buy the Fight Pass. Dana White, if you're listening, I want a refund back. And subsequently, there's been no new events. So anyway, whatever.
Give the refund.
Give the fucking refund, dude. No. It's all good. Just hook me up with interviews, but Christ. Okay, right. So that's what happened. Okay, and since then, obviously, the biggest card that everyone's been waiting for was Khabib versus Tony. We had like a reaction video. I mean, everyone was like frothing at the mouth for that fight.
Well, that was one of the big fights of the year, and
that was the biggest fight of the I mean, like every new fight is the biggest fight of the decade. So I'm very wary to keep hammering on that point. But yes, a lot of people were looking forward to it. Khabib obviously undefeated. Tony obviously a bit like a screwless guy, but like 12 fight winning streak. Like everyone
definitely a screwless.
Man, I love Tony Ferguson. I've actually always been a Tony Ferguson fight. You think I'm joking? Yeah. I remember talking to Donga when Tony versed Eve Edwards. All right, if you don't know who that is, like the non-casuals or those who've been following will know that it's almost like 6 years ago. All right, and when he fought that, I'm like, Donga. For those who don't know who Donga is, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Come on, man.
I'm like, this guy is gonna win a championship. Like, he's gonna win a championship. Like, that's how confident I was. You know. Obviously, it's full circle. It's come to fruition. But okay. So let's park that there. Okay, so that happens, and that's a work in progress. Obviously, as the COVID stuff is like escalating in the world, all this stuff is happening. Then good old John Jones decides, you know what? I'm getting stuck at home. I'm gonna have some whiskey, gin, whatever the guy is having, and go for a drive. Let's go for a cruise, because that's what you do when you're in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and hunting for freaking aliens in the middle of the night. So he goes around. He gets I don't know what he's getting, a gun, shoots a couple of random things, and lo and behold, the cops catch him. And then you have a bit of the news there. You're like, oh gosh, all right, okay, fair enough. I mean, you're surprised. You're not surprised. I was surprised. You heard about that one, right?
I'm not really that surprised, to be honest.
Okay, so that happened, and you're thinking, and you're thinking, all right, cool. But is Tony and Khabib happening, right? And Dana was like, you know what? You can bet in the grave. You can bet in the New York Giants or whatever you want to bet on that Khabib and Tony is going to happen. And I'm like, all right, you know what? Dana's got a Toosie slide haircut. I mean, he doesn't have like the fade and all that shit. I mean, I don't have a fade at the moment, but it's going to happen. You think like a Dana White guarantee is as good as gold. You can take that shit to the bank and mortgage your house on it, right? And then it comes this flipping Khabib stuck in Russia with like sipping like vodka with Putin. He can't have this fight. And apparently, like there was miscommunication there. I know that. I mean, Khabib, all he says is send me location. like how do you have a freaking mix up there? This is like bullshit.
Well, obviously, I'm guessing with COVID and all that, the whole crisis, it would have been hard for him to get out of Russia. I have a feeling.
Well, okay, hold up. He's training camp, American Top Team, I believe so, is in California. So he was in the US to train for this. He went. Really? Yes. Okay, so hold up. He was in the States already. So this is apparently what happened. So he was on the state, getting his Khabib on, like whatever that means, like wrestling and all that shit.
Wrestling bears and whatever.
Yeah, like no, that's in Dagestan, man. You can't do that without a license. In
LA, man, you can go fucking.
I mean, LA, you can have weed legally, but you can't wrestle with bears. I mean, there's limits to this shit. I mean, you could arguably have both, and then blame it on the weed. But look, anyway, I guess what I'm saying is he was here already, right? But apparently, according to Khabib, Dana told him that the fight was going to happen overseas, either in Russia or Emirates, Abu Dhabi, because he actually fought in Abu Dhabi against Dustin Poirier. So it's like, all right, you know what? I've got family at home anyway. They probably won't be home.
This would have been before the whole coronavirus crisis.
No. This is the thing. Like timelines get a bit scrambled, but this is while this whole thing is escalating. But you got to understand, at this time, countries are still figuring out their stance, right? Things have escalated so quickly that I can't remember when it became like almost a uniform policy for every country to close their borders, right? So at this stage, I can't recall exactly what the timeline is. They're still figuring it out, right? So while apparently this conversation is dynamically happening, Khabib apparently either gets told or is of the opinion by the UFC, and his whole thing was that this wasn't communicated well with him. I mean, he's Russian, Toosie slide is American. Like there's obviously communication stuff that could go wrong. Apparently,
you're gonna refer to it as Toosie slide now. Oh fuck!
Right. Anyway, okay. So that's what happens, right? And then he goes to Russia, and then Russia closes its borders, and then all of a sudden, Toosie slide, aka Dana White, for anyone who's just joining in right now, says, "Yo, bro, we're actually having it in the States." And it's like, the fuck? I asked you to send me location like millions of times, and like this is what happened. So he got stuck there. That's it.
Wait a second. Over. Are we referring Dana White as Toosie slide or Tony Ferguson as Toosie slide? No. I think it makes more sense if it's Tony Toosie slide Ferguson. There's a ring to it, doesn't it?
You're missing the whole point of this conversation.
Miscommunication, yes. But I don't know whether Khabib should have been traveling during that time. That's the thing. If he was in LA, he shouldn't have been.
By virtue of going around where? To Russia.
Yeah.
Where he lives, where he's got a family.
But no, if he's like there's a fight coming up, right? And
correct.
There's all this uncertainty and like the way it was headed, I could tell from a mile away that UFC were going to run events, closed off events basically.
But like there were a lot of murmurings that it was going to be in some place like Russia and that. Apparently,
I heard a rumor actually that it was going to be like on some private island. And like
no, that's still happening. That's
Dana White was just going to call fighters to this private island, and they literally go in there, them and their team, they come in there, they fight, they go back.
That's definitely happening. No, that's actually happening. So we'll chat about that. But
no way.
Okay, here's the thing, right? Again, we can go back in how many episodes I literally said verbatim, you can take a Dana White assurance to the grave, but Dana White has called wolf way too many times now. Okay, so this issue happened. Okay, so Dana was like, okay, I'm adamant. Okay, UFC 249, the concept is still happening. However, Khabib is not going to headline it. So now we're scrambling for a headline, right? Because that's the main fight, right? Yeah. Everyone wants to see that. So enter Justin Gaethje. There were a lot of other names thrown.
You were talking about Justin Gaethje, weren't you?
I told you, man. I told you. Homeboy knows. All right. So anyway, as one of the alternatives for Conor, but like basically, essentially in the mix, right? Stylistically, a good fight, and actually had a good, like, really solid analysis. I mean, what are you gonna do if you're stuck in quarantine and you've paid for a bloody service that like all the fights are cancelled? You're gonna have to look at the older fights. Anyway, I've been having a look at these guys, and a really good matchup. In some ways, they're highly different from each other. The other ways, they're quite similar in terms of their pressure fighters, like going in, like getting hit in the head, fun, obviously in the right industry. Okay, the short of it is they had that all working. So Justin Gaethje was actually the new headliner. The new opponent. This is Tony Ferguson. Tony, we never heard from him, but like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, they were fighting for the interim lightweight title, right? Yeah. So Khabib has the main one, so it was going to be another interim title. Obviously, you know, Gaethje, you know, good on him to even agree to it on short notice. Like, who wants to fight an animal such as Khabib? He even had said on his Twitter, I'm absolutely like petrified, but I'm ready to do this, right? Like, and you got to think from his perspective, it's like, he actually had an interview where he said, there's nothing really to lose, in the sense that if I lose, I'm probably in the same position that I was if nothing happened, you know? If I win, that's right, then I'm in a much better position. So, you know, I mean, these guys fight for a living. Literally, that's what it is about. So that was there. They actually had a whole card planned. It was a pretty stacked card. They had Francis Ngannou versus Rosenstruck. Like, they actually had, like, Vincent Lucent. Oh, I can't pronounce half of these guys' names, right? So they had a stacked card, right? It was good. And lo and behold, yesterday, by Brett Okamoto from ESPN MMA. Who's this Brett Okamoto kid? Like, I've never heard of him. All of a sudden, he's getting.
We've got to get him on.
Where are you, Ariel Hawani? Where are you, bro?
Ariel Hawani was second to announce this, actually.
Brett Okamoto, I mean, man. Fuck, the guy ain't even Japanese. You want an Asian name? This is Chang, brother. you get some good shit here, man.
Okamoto ain't Japanese?
No, with a freaking... Okay, you know what? This is... Again, we Okamoto ain't no over cheese. Okay, whatever. Yeah. Slide. Okay, getting back to it. Dana White comes in somberly after like 2 days prior, like having a chat with Brett and saying, you know what, we're going to go through. We got to do this for humanity. Relax, guys, man. You're getting people to knock each other in the head. Relax.
Yeah, I mean, for the humanity of the TV rights deals that he has. Well, I mean, all those millions are just going to go to nothing.
Exactly. I mean,
if they can't fulfill their contract.
Like this wax on the bald head, you know, doesn't pay for itself. So anyway, look, there's obviously like moral dilemmas or whatever you want to call it as to whether the UFC should even be holding an event at this time. But whatever. So yeah, he calls it and says, you know what? Here's the interesting thing, right? So Brett asked. A lot of people have been asking Dana, okay, so you're so adamant that this is going live, where is it, right? And he did not want to tell. So his tagline was, it's going to be an ESPN. That's all you need to know. Yeah. And when people were trying to dig in, he was like, because he doesn't want to tell it. Apparently, even the fighters didn't know about it. And written in the fighters' contracts was the fact that like they wouldn't even know the location up until the day. Apparently, they had in the contracts, and I got this on really good word, by the way, an insider source. Instagram, that the fighters didn't even know what the location was until the day. Like they're going to get blindfolded. And this is like some Wakanda shit. Like I thought slavery was over, but
really,
clearly it's not. Yeah. So okay, hold up.
So hush-hush?
So okay, I'll tell you why. Because here's the thing, right? So for the UFC to operate, to have a license. They need to be governed by an athletic commission, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And athletic commissions are often tied to government, politics, whatever. There's just a lot of mismatch. The short of it is the less people know, the less they have chance to block, obviously, a guy of Dana's influence. You got to understand, this is a business. This is a business actually above everything. Hypothetically, let me just put out shitty rumors out. Nah, but like if you were the NFL or a big league and you said that, hold up, if we are administering like a level of care to our athletes and you're going all the way there, if I could block you, why wouldn't I? You know what I mean? Like I'm not putting out stuff there, but that's to the effect he was saying that a lot of people will try and block him. So why give people that ammo? If on the day you do it, how can you block it? You can't make calls. It's already, you know what I mean? So it was with that reasoning that he was being so hush hush. What do you think about that?
That's interesting in itself. But
it's crazy, right?
It is crazy, but what I've heard about this is that ultimately the call came down to Disney execs.
Exactly.
That's scary. Yeah, Disney, ESPN, high-level Disney, ESPN execs, and they were just like, no, it's not happening, mate. And then once they made the call, they're like high-level, then it was basically all over.
Well, here's the thing. He's flouting that it's going to be on their network. So there is a network. So if you remember, the UFC, if you think about it like this, was an independent company. Yeah. Was being the word. When they went to ESPN, was their equivalent of being listed in the stock market, which means that what they do is now they report to stakeholders, ESPN, Disney. Yeah. That's what it is. So if this is Dana White on his own, Dana White on his own is an FU kind of guy. And you want to talk about miscommunication of the highest degree? That Khabib and Dana thing is, in my mind, a miscommunication to the highest degree. Yeah, apparently, like, all the fighters have, not all. But
that's the thing. How could Dana let Khabib get out of the country?
That's what I mean,
right? That is a blunder, to be honest. That is a blunder in itself.
Well, here's the thing. You can't control these guys. It's not written within the contract. You can't. Like, they get paid per thing. But, again, like, Khabib doesn't strike to me as a guy that's, like, benevolent. Like, I'm going to just, I don't like you. He actually, like, his demeanor is respectful, apart from, like, when he decides to jump and kick on people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't seem to me that sort of guy. He's not like a brash American that, like, oh, I'm running this, or Conor McGregor that would do that for the sake of it. I generally feel that he felt that the communications was going to be overseas. So, hey, my if it's going to be in Russia or it's going to be in Abu Dhabi or whatever, like, I'd rather go closer. Yeah, because my family is there. Why wouldn't I? I can wrestle bears. It's free. Whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
but then that sort of brings into the question: what was the UFC thinking around the early parts of this virus? So when this virus started to get a bit more serious, and stuff like the NBA was cancelled.
Yep.
I think then is when there should have been a plan made as to, okay, we're gonna just go straight to closed shows. And this is the location we're going to run all of our closed shows from, and it's going to be from there. That information, if it was decided at that point, should have been relayed to Khabib's camp.
But here's the thing: I feel like everything was so dynamic, and for that exact reason, when Dana had a location, he didn't tell it. Yeah. I believe that he tried to do a couple of locations, and they got shut down by people blocking him. So there's like forces at play higher than here, and like. To speak again to this miscommunication thing,
you know what the interesting part of this is. So if we look at, if we just sort of sidetrack a bit, look at the WWE. So basically, they went through the same thing.
They're pre-recorded though, right?
Yes, those are pre-recorded, but like they were told the same thing, that you cannot run live shows with people anymore. The venues are not going to allow it. So what they did is they went to basically the developmental of their WWE. They run their own like sort of gym called the Performance Center, and they ran shows from there. They made it look pretty, and like they basically ran shows from there. The thing is, I don't know whether UFC has something like that where they have like a building.
Of course they do. It's in Las Vegas. It's called the Performance Institute, and that was an option. But I don't know what it actually is. I don't know if like, because in these densely populated areas of America, like they have like a absolute no or 10-person policy. Okay. Let me go. I found out the place. I mean, it's on the internet, where they were going to. It's UFC. Sorry, give me a sec. Where they had ended up. Sorry, I'm just losing it. Basically, it was on tribal land.
Oh,
they were going to do it on tribal land. And you know the thing with tribal land, right? Like nothing flies. There's no, like not nothing flies, but they operate with very little jurisdiction. Yeah. So it's in America, but not necessarily governed by American standards. So if Donald Trump says you can only have 10 people recording there, they could probably lax it a little bit more. And that's the thing. The element about like live air TV, which is essentially what pay-per-view is like they made UFC Brasilia work when they had well, that was in Brazil. But they were going to film. You're right, in the Performance Institute in Vegas, when Trump apparently administered a 50-person ban, like 50 persons within the group, and like they could make it work with 50. When they did it at 10, it was like it's impossible. Like the scale of the event.
The thing is, how did the WWE make that work with 10?
I don't know. So is that shit on tribal land? Like, I actually don't know. Or here's another thing. What's the television thing with WWE? Like, who is it? It's not ESPN, right? Like, who is it?
So that is it's Fox. It's Fox. So that is Disney again. I'm thinking.
Is it? But Fox is a little bit different, right? Slightly.
No, but Fox got bought out by Disney, right?
Don't know. Actually don't know, because I know that the UFC was on Fox.
No. Okay, no. So, Fox. I don't think the TV network got bought out by Disney.
Exactly,
so
that's
Fox
what I mean.
Still its own. Yeah, it's right. Its own.
So here, it's almost equivalent to like Channel 9 and like ABC here. The ABC will run things that are a bit like, you know, like, whoa, it's a little bit different, just because they don't have to operate there. And I feel, but like, the advantage with going with an ESPN is the distribution, the brand name, the rights, etc. Disney, blah blah blah. And obviously the disadvantages and stuff like this, because Dana was ready to go. He'd already negotiated that. But again, if you think about the business concept and the fact that miscommunication, you had Dana 2 weeks ago going in national TV, going into ESPN and saying, this is going to happen, it's going to be on ESPN. Like, why did it take so long for these guys to block him? Like, what changed in those 2 hours? Like, did they get threatened by someone? You know what I mean?
I have a feeling it might have been the state government. It might have been.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, it's like there's
basically
so many levels past it.
Because I was saying WWE. They recorded their shows, but they have a competitor called AEW, where basically they had cops show up to the taping to administer that they were following the social distancing rules while taping it. It could have been something like that. It literally could have been something like that where
potentially
the state government just felt uncomfortable with it, and they're just like, look, we can't do this. I'm sorry, we can't allow it.
Okay, so you feel uncomfortable with
the state government probably talked to Dana. Dana probably told him to fuck off, and then the state government talked to people above Dana, like the Disney execs and the ESPN execs, and said, "It's not happening, mate. We can't have your crew here." Basically,
I feel it's interesting, right? Because if by virtue of that's blocked out, ESPN has the distribution rights for everything, right?
Yeah.
Dana is still saying, by the way, this Fight Island is still happening, apparently. Can we talk about that? Like, freaking Fight, like, what is this?
Fight Island. Is this actually? I heard this was a rumor, and it was just like,
no.
People,
ain't no rumor, man. Mortal Kombat Island is Fatality City, or whatever they want to call it, is happening. Apparently, the infrastructure is being built. Okay, so let me explain what this is.
That's cool. Fight Island's cool, but I reckon what Dane is lacking is something like a WWE network, like his own, like a UFC app, basically. They have Fight Pass.
They've got that. They've got that. Fight Pass.
No, but they have
still
Fight Pass.
Disney.
No, but they have Fight Pass. But they're using the crew. I don't know if the crew is ESPN crew or if it's
It's his own crew. It's his own crew, but like crew. The distribution.
If it's his own crew, then fuck yeah, man. Do Fight Island. It'll be interesting.
But you can, but it still has to distribute through ESPN. That's what I'm saying. But here's the thing. He said that this event got blocked, but he's still prefacing it by saying that Fight Island's going on, which is interesting, which makes me feel like if he's leading with that this is either a temporary block about this specifically, maybe about this casino or this area that they're doing it, and that this Fight Island is
the area.
Yeah,
it's the area.
That the fact that like tribal land or not, you can't do this in the US. You want to do this somewhere else? Well, maybe there's some loophole there that we're not seeing. But I feel like if he's leading with that's got to be the reason, right? Like, okay, let's talk about this Fight Island. This is some Mortal Kombat bullshit.
It is some Mortal Kombat. They should really market it as Mortal Kombat.
Well, that's what they are. Look, you should just see some of these photos on Instagram where they have like some random lost island with the letters UFC written in grass and shit like that, and like a seaplane coming in.
They should put an octagon right near the fucking beach. That'd be sick.
No, they're gonna do that. And he's saying the infrastructure is being built. Can you imagine when all this shit is over? I have no doubt that they will film all of this, like the making, like why wouldn't you? It's just like sick content.
It's fascinating.
And like fucking
I'd be surprised if they didn't have like a Netflix doco about this as well.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
If there is a Fight Island, that fucking hell, man.
So let's just zoom back about how 249 was going to happen, right? So again, the premise was the fighters didn't even know where it was. Like, and we know this because when Gaethje was being interviewed, he was saying that he had no idea. Apparently written within the contracts, they were going to get blindfolded. And because a UFC card, it lasts for what, 6 hours or whatever, right? Like it lasts for a long time, the prelims and that. Because regardless of the fact that they were going through, there still was a limit there. So what they were planning to do was transport the fighters like in a car or something, blindfold. I'm not even fucking joking. This doesn't even make sense, right? Like Wakanda style, like in a convoy, stop them there, open it, and then they come in, and then once that fight is over, they take them out, and then they exchange again. What is this, man? Yeah, that's just weird. Like, what the hell? Because they've got a factor for, like, apparently he also had COVID tests and like, you know, laser beams to check the temperature, which apparently is like things that exist. But you know, like even in Australia, you can't get a COVID test for the sake of it, right? Like you need to either be displaying symptoms, but he was going to proactively do that. So he's already sourced that, which is hard to get and probably expensive in the first place. Man, this is ridiculous. Like I've never heard of something like the amount of hurdles that he was willing to go through. Logistically, would have been an absolute nightmare. Would have been a 10-hour filming shoot. You
kind of wonder, is it really worth doing all this right now, man? Like, I mean, I guess more people are at home, but part of the fun of watching a UFC fight is, going with your mates, watching at the pub, like watching it together. Like, is it really worth doing right now? No one's going anywhere.
I mean, well, that's probably exactly. Well, it's interesting you say that because
for the amount of money he's putting into it, I think it's kind of pointless.
Well, yeah, but I actually think it's a statement. Firstly, like UFC,
it's more about his ego. It's more about his ego, though. It's more about.
You really think so?
I think so, maybe. I don't
not.
think he hates being defeated this way, and by something like externally, like a fucking pandemic. He just hates the fact of being defeated like that.
I think that's great, to be honest.
It irks him.
I think it's great.
It irks him.
I think it's...
and he has to like somehow beat it in his own way. But that's Dana, man. That's why he's a fucking billionaire, man. He's got that ego. That's good in a way. The ego is good in a way, actually. He's
definitely a guy that like makes things happen. And the thing is, at the end of the day, it's not like the fighters want to do it. Like they want to do it. Like no one's forcing, in the sense that like if you say I don't want to do it, like there's nothing else I can do to force you to fight, right? Yeah. These guys choose to get hit in the head for a living, so obviously risk management is not the forte. So like it is what it is. But like, look, it's interesting. So that was UFC 249. Fight Island's gonna operate relatively similar. So like if they're in fucking, I don't know, Bermuda Triangle or someplace that's clear.
Can you just imagine that? Clearly. It's like, we got Connor coming here to Fight Island, and then like 2 hours later, it's like, sorry, we kind of lost it. We don't know where he went. He was on his way.
This Fight Island thing sounds so cool. Like, I want to see it.
Dude, they could really market this really like interestingly. I reckon.
Just fucking Fight Club. It'll be great.
Just
like you don't
partner up with Mortal Kombat, man. The biggest fucking way to partner up with Mortal Kombat. It'll be so good.
Yeah, man. It's been flipping crazy. I don't know, but here's the thing, right? Toosie Slide.
Toosie Slide, yeah.
He's called Wolf to me personally way too many times for me to even believe him in this fucking Fight Island, man. Seriously. No, seriously. He said that 249 was
where did these Fight Island rumors come from, though?
No. He's saying it. There's no rumors. He's explicitly said it. It's happening.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's no rumors at all. It's happening in the sense that he's putting it out there. They're building in the process of the infrastructure. So they've sourced an island, and apparently, like if this place in America like didn't go through, he had another place that was willing to take it. Like there's a lot of business elements, and actually I'd love to see a documentary about how all of this occurred after it.
What is the point if ESPN is just going to block it again?
Okay, and this is what makes me believe that it's not necessarily, maybe it's not ESPN blocking it. Maybe logistically, with the amount of hurdles that he had to do and the amount of hate that he was getting, it wasn't an ESPN blocking thing. Maybe they're just using it.
I reckon it's probably government. I have a feeling the government's pulling pressure onto
potentially,
Disney
but maybe
ESPN.
Okay, what if you promise something and then all of a sudden, like you're like, oh fuck, this is coming, or by the way, those COVID vaccinations or those not vaccinations, those COVID tests that we ordered, the government's blocked it. Say something like that. Okay, cool. Yeah. It'll be silly for me to say that we got blocked by the government. Let me just say that my boss at the top level blocked it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? There could be that element there. And the reason I'm saying something like that, I'm not saying
Dana also doesn't want to piss off the government right now as well.
Well, here's the thing, because you're in the US, and like there is an after post-COVID ramification, right? You're a US-based company, like you can't, shift the sand there. But the thing is, if you're having it in an island that is under who knows what jurisdiction, or like, just say you go to like Fiji and you pay them $1 million, you think that, of course they're gonna say, yeah, go to this random island that no one uses, pay out, like no one's gonna say no to that. You know what I mean? Like that's actually how it would work. Whatever, zero jurisdiction, blah blah blah. You take whatever you want. And I feel like it's happening in some way there. They won't even tell who the island is, but it'll be outside the jurisdiction of the US government, that is, and then they'll allow it. That's what I think is happening. And I think maybe that...
So whose island do you reckon this is? Do you reckon it's one of his celeb mates that has an island, or...
I don't know. He knows Richard Branson. I don't know. What the fucking
Branson, fuck hey.
Branson would love that shit. Man, like, just... Can you imagine how crazy all this shit is? Like, I can't even believe it.
Well, yeah, it's... something like this never has happened before. Like, a pandemic like this, which has stopped everything. But... Yeah, I mean, a lot of sports have shut down. We saw the NRL over here. Basically, for a couple of weeks they were going on, and people were just there was increasing pressure to shut it down. They're like, "What are you guys doing? Are you guys idiots?" And like, from the players, from ex-players, from the crowd as well. That like, even though there was no crowd in the stadium, it's just still felt very uncomfortable. And now we're hearing rumors that the NRL starting up.
It's back, May 28th.
May 28th, end of May.
The problem with the NRL is like they are like 90% dependent upon actual games for their revenue. Like the distribution doesn't even exist.
That's the interesting thing. Most of sport now, it's all based on your TV deals that you have.
Correct. If you don't have
the income, I think they make very little from the actual attendance and.
But they still need it. But
clubs still need it. But I'm like, all of sport is all dependent on TV deals. So they want to put something on, some sort of show on.
Well, they need to. Apparently, like half of the clubs would be insolvent if the season didn't even exist. So they need it.
That's nuts to think about, man. Fuck, this is just that like billions of dollars worth of TV deals. It's just at the moment. Not really happening, but we just got to see how long this is going to last now, I guess that's the next sort of thing we should talk about. Where do we go on from here? Like if Fight Island doesn't happen, say, what's the next step for the UFC?
There is no next step, man. Like, what do you want? Like I've seen, for example, the NBA, they're doing like a horse tournament. Have you heard of that one?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which horses. They've apparently got like players versing each other in NBA 2K, and they're videoing that. I mean, I could see that happening. Conor McGregor versing thing on like UFC.
Yeah.
That could be.
They need some sort of content, man. That's what I'm saying. Like they need to have some sort of content.
Well, they're playing.
Those deals, but it could be an interesting thing. Yeah, they've got to think of some. They've got to innovate, basically.
I feel like if anyone's gonna make it happen, it's gonna be Dana White. And I feel like it's gonna happen. I genuinely feel like it's gonna happen. Like they're gonna do it, and then someone's gonna get contaminated, and then he's gonna say, you know what, maybe this is a bit bigger than me. But I think he's gonna give it a go, a red hot go.
He's gonna give it a go. He's gonna have an attempt at it.
And I think that's great, to be honest. Like if you know the risks and you're signing it, whatever. Like if you are,
the thing arguably, is, as you said, if someone actually gets COVID, then he's fucked. He is pretty fucked.
He is, but I'd think that everyone that it's like when you go skydiving, you need to write an affidavit and say you consent to whatever happens, right? Like no one likes it, but it is what it is. Here's the thing: a lot of these fighters, they don't get paid unless they fight. So it's actually almost a life or death. There was this Brazilian fighter who's like, I don't like it. I don't like the fact that I have to fight. But if I don't fight, then I don't pay my mortgage. Then my family goes out in the streets, and then we can, like, you know what I mean? Like that's literally how they think about it. Like the people that like are depending on it too. So there is a time where you have to give people the chance. If you really don't want to, then definitely don't. But again, let's think about it. If he claims to have testing for COVID pre and post, and they're going to an island, which is probably going to be a non-populated island. Like I have to assume it would be, So if if you have 100 people in a plane,
I have a feeling also Dana will probably get them on private jets to come there, right?
Fuck, man. Can you imagine like the amount of money he's spending? Anyway, yeah. But like, for me, it's twofold. Twofold is one, he has an opportunity to be the first league that says that, and like UFC again is just growing as a brand. You're right. Okay, let me tell you something that I've heard as well. Apparently, during the recession, pay-per-view buys kind of spiked in the first recession, and the UFC kind of found that as a not necessarily as a growth mechanism, but it's probably justifying why he's spending so much time doing that. Because here's what you think about it. In a normal situation, what people usually do is they go to a pub, they watch it, right? So who benefits? I mean, the pub is going to buy a standard license anyway, in the sense that in the same way that I've bought UFC the subscription for a year, they're not refunding me, man. Like, they're not. So a pub is already bought like a thing they're not refunding them. Like maybe a business account has something different. I don't know, but like I haven't been communicated. Like I haven't been. Like NBA hasn't said, you know what, we're gonna prorata your thing. They haven't. Like I don't know how the WWE works. But what I mean is no one is voluntarily giving out money because you need to preserve cash flow in an environment like this. I guess what I'm saying is the other mechanism is people usually come together. It's $60 Australian. We're recording in Sydney. Come to my house, mate. Like I'll buy the thing. You bring some beers, and they'll split it. Effectively, they'll split it, right? Yeah. So if I'm dying to watch something and I can't go to my mate's house to watch it, I definitely can't go to a pub. I'm gonna buy it. Technically, it might mean that he might get more people buying it. You know what I mean? True. By virtue of nothing else to do. True. By virtue of nothing else to do, and it's a multiplier effect. Oh, fuck! I'm so bored of watching NRL. Like past games, that's what everyone's doing. The NBA is, I liked it for a while. Everyone's doing it.
I'm experiencing this right now. Like the need for new content right now.
Yeah,
it's so in demand.
Well, there's a lot of new content in YouTube, but what I mean, new sport, right? Like
new sport. Sport is dead around the whole world, man. Like any new sport content, people will just clutch onto. We saw this with the AFL when it was still running for a couple of weeks, and in the US. All sport was basically shut down. A lot of Americans looked at the AFL. They actually like were watching the games because there's nothing else on. And they're like, this is kind of cool.
That's one of the reasons. That was one of the justifications. Apparently, the NRL said as well because people watching. Yeah, like, how bored are you, bro?
That's the thing. New fans. It's an opportunity for new fans.
It is an opportunity.
Sport. But
it is an opportunity.
Yeah, if UFC is the only thing running at the moment, Dana's gonna. That's why Dana's doing it. It's a way to get new fans.
He's doing it apparently for UFC 249. I think I read somewhere, but there's so much bullshit on the internet. You can't even tell half the time. obviously not on MMALife TV. We only have
no. We got our sources. We've got our sources.
I double check the Wikipedia extracts that I read, and I make sure that I did after I've said something incorrect.
Right. I think our sources are better than Wikipedia extracts.
Chang files. But look, it's a bit interesting. Like again, he's called bloody wolf so many times that I don't know whether to believe him. I really want to believe him this time, but like I'm holding back. Like we definitely need some new content, but like again, fighting it's so. I was watching a fight where like it was Vincent. Oh, fuck it. You know what? I'm not even going to bother. I forgot his name. But anyway.
Vincent gonna sex now?
Look at it. Listen, his nose was bleeding, and he was bleeding on this guy. And I was like, Like, what I mean is, even in non-COVID times, it's fucking disgusting, man. Like, even for a guy that's watched so many fights, I'm like, damn, man. And this guy's like licking his tongue. I'm like, what are you, bloody vampire? Like,
fucking it is, man. What do you want? It's violent. Violent, disgusting. That's what we are.
Man. That's good. Yeah. I mean, there's so many. I think they definitely got to bring the international peeps who are ready to fight. A lot of quarantines happening, but we'll put it out there, mate.
Definitely.
Yes. All right, buddy. Like, thanks for joining, man. What's your quarantine plans? Obviously, you're gonna watch the Toosie slide video clip and
right after this, man. It's the next thing I'm doing.
Drake's
watching Toosie slide. I'm just chilling. I got a bunch of new projects coming up. Dork Entertainment. Catch me in there. We got the podcast just started last week. The Dork Entertainment podcast. So catch me on that. But just trying new things out. Trying to work on this desk setup that I'm doing. Yeah.
Dude, peace, man. Yeah, I'm just trying to look like Drake every day.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Feeling pretty buff. Anyway, man, peace out. Talk soon.
Peace.